My Scotland Trip by Alison Horstman. Here is Great Britain. Of course, Scotland is to the north, and I flew in to Inverness Airport and then traveled east to Plusgarden Abbey, which is just 6 miles away from Elgin, Scotland. Here's the map again. I flew into Inverness, traveled east through Nairn, and Plusgarden Abbey is right about here. Here's Plusgarden Abbey grounds. Everything was so beautiful when I got there. All the green looks like grass, but it's really barley. And the barley was exclusively used for making whiskey. Here's Plusgarden Abbey, a majestic monastery. Another view. My goal was to be able to hike somehow, some way to get up to the top of this ridge, which is very high. That's what I wanted to do. Here's another picture of the same area at a different time of the day. Same area, different time of the day. All of this yellow plant is not called Scotch broom. It's a cousin to Scotch broom, but it's all over Ireland. More beautiful plants. Everywhere there were beautiful plants. Here's inside Plusgarden Abbey. Many, many beautiful stained glass windows. Here's the man that took us to Elgin. We met him on the monastery grounds. His name is Jim, and he turned out to be a lovely guy. Eggs for sale on the side of the road. They use the honor system. This is the view from Jim's house. He took us to his beautiful home, and then he drove us into Elgin. And in his backyard, he had sheep. Ba ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. We would see bands of brilliant, vibrant yellow, and it turned out that this was the crop of the rapeseed plant, which they used to produce rapeseed oil. It was just so vibrant and brilliant. Here is the Royal Air Force in Lossiemouth. He took us there, and we saw the fighter jets, and we heard them. The sound was incredible of the jet. And here is the Poseidon. You might wonder why it's called the Poseidon. If it's an aircraft, it flies over the water. And here's the Lossiemouth Beach. Another view of Lossiemouth. And here is the Gordonston School, where Prince Philip and Prince Charles went. Another view of the Gordonston School. And Bonnie was so excited because she had seen on the movie The Crown where Prince Philip had misbehaved at school, and his punishment was to fix the gate. And so she got her picture taken right in front of the gate that Prince Philip had to fix. And this man, Jim, he had been married twice. His first wife played the cello alongside Prince Charles. And his second wife was the head caterer for the Gordonston School. There's Jim. And he had a butcher shop. Here he is when he was younger. So he took us to his butcher shop, and he was the son of the first butcher. Inside the butcher shop, they had vegetables and meats, all beautifully organized and displayed. There's Jim. He took us to the back kitchen where they were making delicious smelling meat pies. And Bonnie and I went to lunch, and she got me a latte. It was so good. There's a beautiful view of the Plus Garden Cemetery, birdhouses and bird feeders, and we call this the Magic Gate. This took us to our pathway. We're going up, and then we had beautiful, beautiful pathways in the forest. They were so beautiful. We walked and walked, and when we got to the top, we could look down and see the Plus Garden Abbey. Just beautiful. This is Father Giles. He is the headmaster and the guest master for Plus Garden Abbey, and he's the one I communicated with for my trip. He explained to us how stained glass windows were made. It's very interesting. Inside the Abbey, the services were all in Latin, so they were a little bit hard to understand, but the men sang, and their voices were beautiful. Here's one of the friends we met there. Her name is Marion, and she turned out to be a wonderful organist. And Father Giles invited her to play the organ, and it was a great blessing for her. And then she called her friend Jane over to sing. And it was just beautiful, the organ playing and the beautiful singing together. So here's Jane and our friend Ruth that we met. She bides in the brogue. And Marion and Father Giles. And here Bonnie and I are with Father Giles and Marion. Again, the bands of yellow. Beautiful, vibrant bands of yellow. And this is where I stayed after the Abbey. This is the Gun Lodge Hotel and Cromall Restaurant. So much fun. Here's the little restaurant, and I sat at this table, table number 6. Here was my room. It was so comfortable and warm. Here was the bathroom. And you can make hot tea in your room. These Instapots were so wonderful for heating up the water. Beautiful flowers. This was my favorite water carafe. The water was so delicious. And my favorite meal, fish and chips with a salad on the side. And my second favorite, fried mushrooms with a salad. More beautiful views. These small daisies, mini daisies, were everywhere. I just loved them. More beautiful pathways. At the second place I stayed, I could walk by the ocean. It was the North Ocean. And it was a rock beach, but they called the rocks shingles. A mass of small, rounded pebbles, especially on a seashore. a wonderful beach of fine shingle. More pathways, more walking paths. I walked and walked and walked. And looked at God's creation. It was so beautiful. Okay, here we are again. I flew into Inverness Airport and I went to Plusgarden Abbey, which was right by Elgin. And then I came back to Ardeshir. That's where the gun lodge was. Then I walked all the way to Fort George military garrison. That was a long walk. And I came back. Here's Fort George. It was a wonderful fort. And that's where I got to see the Highlander Museum. Here's Fort George. The Highlander Museum was in the fort. And it made me think of Bryce because the Mackenzie clan made up the Seaforth Highlanders. And they became a part of the Queen's Own Royal Army. Fort George. And I was surprised to see on my next walk that they still have telephone booths. Interesting tree. Beautiful paths. Many daisies everywhere. Everywhere. Buttercups. And of course sheep. I wanted a picture of the baby lambs, but I never could. They're very shy and they kind of run away from you. This says grit. You can throw your garbage in there. Playground in Scotland. Someone's backyard. Beautiful flowers in someone's yard. There was orange flower. Baba Black Sheep. This is Philip. He came and talked to me when I was pressing flowers into my Bible. He was very, very kind and nice. Actually, this is called the Moray Firth. This body of water is the Moray Firth. Another beautiful pathway. God was so good to me to give me so many different paths to walk on. So many different plants to look at. So many views. It was just beautiful. And on my way home, I thought this was so funny. The restroom sign. The end.